welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Chasing Ghosts. This is the video series where I talk about those hard to find, those impossible to find, those really, really tough comic books that you just don't see on the wall at your LCS whenever you wander in there or, every week. These are some books you got to do a little bit of legwork and in some cases get lucky in tracking down because they're just not easy to find. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And if you haven't checked out the Whatnot app, now's your chance to check it out for free. If you sign up below for the first time, you get a free $15 on me to spend on whatever you like with whomever you like. And if you do, you would be helping out the channel. So check it out down below. And if you want to see what books I have for you this week, I do have an interesting little angle. Just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so I teased a little bit of an angle this week, and I do have one. It's been a while since we kind of focused in on DC, so we are going to focus in on some DC foil incentives. That's right, foil. You all know it's not my favorite thing in the world, but I'm not just providing content based off of everything I like. I'm providing things on things that you all might like as well. So even though I'm not in love with foil covers, I know a lot of you do like them, so let's take a look at some. Because there are some interesting 1 in 50s, 1 in 100s, etc. that we can look at over the last year or two that DC has provided with their, incentive variants. Like there was a time when that's what they were doing. They were doing like the 1 in 50s. We're doing foil. It's going to be the same as a cover that was released, like a regular order cover, and then slap some foil on it, and that's the incentive. They haven't been doing that as much lately, but there was a stretch where that was their go-to. So with that said, let's look at our first book, which is going to be Poison Ivy number 3. I added this little effect so you can kind of see what the foil might look like just on this one, and then I'll clear it up for the rest of the presentation so it's not too blurry because, again, these foils were not my favorites. They just, a lot of them were kind of dull. They just didn't pop. So to me, this is what it kind of looked like. So that's why I wasn't a big fan of some of these foils. But this is a 1 in 50 by Seb McKinnon from August of 2022, so nearly 2 years ago now. Not going to bother with the print runs because we don't have solid information based off of estimated print runs. So I have no idea what the estimated print run might be or how many there might be of the incentives. So we're not even going to venture a guess or hazard an estimation because I got nothing to work with for you. So that's the case with all of the books we have today. So we're just going to skip that slide completely for every one of these books and just roll right into what's in the CGC census. Because at least here we do have a solid number. And for this Seb McKinnon cover, which is gorgeous, by the way, but you can get the regular. Actually, I don't think there's a regular of this one. I think you have to get the foil of this one. But anyway, there are 69. There's 69 in the census with 57 9/8, and then it looks like 696s, 594s, and a single 92 for that number 69. So a decent amount for this book. It is early on. Poison Ivy was a new series, so early on there was a higher than normal, I would guess, print run. So I would expect there to be a decent number, even at a 1 in 50. But who knows? Who knows for certain? What I can tell you is that recently we've seen sales for raw copies for $120 at auction, $100 buy it now, and a $125 buy it now. So this is easily well above ratio of a book if you wanted to go and buy one. At least that's what sales are telling us. What's available? I didn't find a lot. Surprisingly, I did not find a lot. In fact, I only found 2. And those 2 were 2 9/8s looking for $175 and $200. Not cheap. Not cheap, but those prices are kind of in line with what you might expect. And remember, it is a foil cover, so unless it got dropped on its corner or anything like that, these should have held up pretty well and not been too banged up. Hopefully, because again, they got that thicker cover, the thicker kind of cardstock foil before they put the foil application on it. So it is a thicker and more hardier cover. So it really would need to take some damage to be damaged. So hopefully you can get yourself a decent one in high grade if you're out there looking. But you never can tell, because once the damage is done on a book like this, there ain't gonna be no pressing out like a hard spine tick or color breaking spine tick on a foil cardstock cover. It just ain't gonna happen that way. So it is what it is. The copy you get is the copy you get. With that said, let's move on a few more issues into Poison Ivy. Granted, Poison Ivy, even to this day, still runs through with 1 in 50s. They're not foils, but they're still going at, I think we're at issue 22 or so, thereabouts. And I think this week we had a Frank Cho 1 in 50. So they are still rolling out the 1 in 50s on this series. So Poison Ivy is still selling well enough for DC to keep up with this high ratio incentive. At least high ratio to me. I think a 1 in 50 is pretty high. But with that said, our next book is Poison Ivy number 8. This is a Jenny Frison. Another gorgeous cover. This one, I know there is a regular version, so you don't have to spend all on the foils. The only way to get it, you can get a regular cover, like a cover B variant, if you like the art. Granted, it won't be all shiny, but, it could be good enough. But it's a 1 in 50 from January of 2023. Again, I took the shiny effect off to give you a clearer look at the art, because, again, it is a gorgeous cover. It is. In the census, there's surprisingly not that many. I thought there would be more, but there is a 9.9. Told you, you can get some higher grades with these thicker cardstock covers. 16 9/8, a 9.6, 4 9/4s, and then a couple others. So you could get damages as well. Most of that probably would have happened during shipping or just sitting up on the shelf at a shop. I don't know. Point being, only 24 in the census for this one. So definitely less than the last book. It's about a third of what was there. Also, about a third of the sales, because we only had one sale the last 3 months, and it was a 9/8 signature series signed by Jenny herself for $300. Hard to tell when you have signature series books how much of the cost is for the signature, etc. But it is the only thing that's sold to give you some frame of reference on this book. Because if you wanted to buy one, surprisingly, again, I only found one. I only found one out there. And it is a 9.8. No, actually, no, it's that 9.9. That 9.9 is out there and available for $700. So $700, 12 watchers, keeping an eye on it. Just saying. It's the only one, but who knows if there'll be more to join it. Just for right now, there's the 199, and it's available if you want to go and buy it. And that's the only copy I could find available right now. Granted, a couple months, few weeks, who knows? The story could be different. But for right now, this is what we're in our moment, snapshot of time. This is what we're dealing with. So right now, we got one. You know what that's going to mean when we get to later on in the show. But before we get ahead of ourselves talking about the end, let's go on to our next book and check out this pretty awesome Wonder Woman cover. Again, shiny yellow kind of gold would have looked nicer if it didn't have the foil, or if it was spot foil. Just like part of it was foil and not all of it was foil. But it is what it is. This is Lazarus Planet, Revenge of the Gods number 1. Also a 1 in 50. This was from March of 2023. CGC census on this has a 10.0, 2 9.9s, 41 9/8s, and 4 9/6s, and then a lonely 9.2, for a total of 49 graded copies. But yes, there is a 10 out there. There are 2 9.9s. So high grade is possible. Again, shiny foil. These covers hold up pretty well on their own. So you really got to try to hurt them to damage them. With that said, couple copies sold. Raw, $80. 9.8 sold for $175. Not too bad. And if you wanted to buy one, you do have options. On this one, you got some options. This was a mini series kind of event, one-shot kind of deal. So probably a decent print run, which accounts for why there's probably these copies out there still. About $100 raw, $400 for a 9.9. That doesn't seem terrible considering a 9.8 signature series is looking for $440, and then there is a regular 9.8 looking for $175. I don't know. It's hard to price like a 9.9. I have no idea. They're just so rare and just out of the norm. Like, it's just hard to kind of put a generalization on a price for one of those. So, don't know. But if you're interested, there's not 2 9.9s out there for the 3 books we've covered so far. Already on the market right now, there are 9.9s available for you for 2 of these books. Interesting. That said, let's keep rolling. Our next book is Flash 794. Yep, Flash is also getting on the 1 in 50 action, and they do have a few of these foils. This is probably the toughest, I think, of the foils for the Flash book. This is a Torrin Clark cover, also from March of 2023, also a 1 in 50, as I mentioned. CGC census doesn't have that many. There are only six. Six in the census with 498s, a 9.2, and then an 8.5. Oof, what happened to that one? What did they do to it? They must have sat on it or something. That said, 2 copies sold. A 9.8 sold for $300, and then a 9.2 sold for only $81.54. That's pretty cheap for a 9.2 for a book like this. Well, I mean, it's a 9.2, and I don't know. I think it's still a pretty cheap price considering 1 in 50 at ratio $50. But you look at that 9.8 price, this raw would probably sell for over 100. I would think maybe 120, maybe even up to 150. So a 9.2 at $80 is kind of a discount because 9.2 is still near mint minus technically. So just saying. But with that said, if you wanted to know what this would cost to buy one today, you can't because there's none out there today. I looked and there's none available right now. So you have to wait and see till another one pops up. Rolling on. Next book, DC Pride, #1 from 2023. Gorgeous Jen Bartel cover. Yes, there is an open order version of this that is like a white bordered version, but this one is a black border with the foil. So it is a bit different, a little bit darker, gives it more of like a night vibe, whereas the other one's more of a daytime feel. But it's still a nice cover. Either one, they both look pretty good. That said, 1 in 50, Jen Bartel, CGC census has a decent number of 60 with 199, 54 9/8, 4 9/6s, and then a lowly 8.5. Again, another one must have got sat on. Nobody's bought one of these though in the last 3 months, at least on eBay. So no one has bought one of these. 2023. It is last year's Pride book, so it's probably not at the tip of most people's minds. They go, "Hey, I need to go find that book." But if they wanted to go and find one, you got a pair of options right now. Not many, only a pair, and they're both raw, and they want $200 and $276 respectively. Ain't cheap. Definitely not a cheap book. So I don't know. Good luck. Good luck if you're out there hunting for this. Or if you have one, cool. Let me know. If you have any of these, obviously tag me on Instagram. Let me know. I love seeing your guys' collections as well as things that you guys pick up on the weekly basis, based off some of the things I'm talking about too. So let me know. Let me know if you got any of these. To my knowledge, I don't think I have any of these, to be honest. So far through this run, I might have the McKinnon. Now that I think about it, I might have a raw of the McKinnon, but I'm not positive. And I know I have one of the Frizen foils, but I don't know if I got the 6 or 8 one we covered. But she's done a couple of covers. But I don't know. Regardless, we're not here to talk about my collection. We're here to talk about ghosts that we are all out there chasing. Going to our next book, which is Punchline, the Gotham game #3. I'm going to go a little out of order here. If you noticed, I was going chronologically, and I was going with, there was a method to my madness up to this point. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit. So, Punchline, Gotham game #3 is also a foil. I wanted to do this one next because this is also a 1 in 50 that goes with the 1 in 50s we just did. This is a Derek Chew that came out in December of 2022. So yes, it could have gone earlier in the run, but I didn't want to, and you're going to see why in a minute. CGC census has only 12 copies of this one in there, 11 9/8 and a 9/6. That's about what I would expect as far as like grading goes. No sat on 8.5s. Nobody's bought one of these, surprisingly. It's a pretty cool cover, too, with the Joker facing off with Punchline there. Once you take some of the shiny foil out of it, it gets a little less distracting. It's pretty cool, but nobody's bought one. But if you wanted to buy one, you got a pair of options. That's it. Only a pair. A 9.8 looking for $360 and a Signature Series 9.8 looking for $400. That's what you got. So if you're interested, that's what you're working with. Moving on to our next book, which is going to explain why I did it this way. We are actually going to go to Punchline, the Gotham game issue 2, the issue before. This is a Sozo Mica cover. Gorgeous cover, by the way, as you can see. We'll take some of this shiny foil off so you can get a better look at the art. Going backwards here because this was a 1 in 100. So yes, the DC did do the 1 in 100 game for a little bit too. So let's go and look at a couple of those while we're here. So November of 2022, going back even further, this is a 1 in 100. So we're moving off of the 1 in 50s, going even higher with the incentive ratio to see what we got here. In the census, we got 26 graded. We have 299s, 1896s, 494s, a 94, and once again, somebody sat on an 85. Well, what are you going to do? One copy sold, raw, 125 bucks. Little over ratio because it is now with 1 in 100. So we're looking at a little bit of a different angle here. It's not a 1 in 50. This is a 1 in 100, but it is an issue too. Punchline was a character DC was pushing pretty hard, so I imagine the print runs were pretty high, and there were probably plenty of store exclusives, which would also increase the number of copies ordered and incentives handed out, because those stores that would have to order 3,000 copies to get one of their own covers are going to get, 30 of these, right? We're just doing basic math. They got to order 3,000. They're going to get 30 of these. If they order more because they go with a trade dress and a virgin version, and we're talking 4,000, then they got 40 of these. Just saying. With that said, copies available, probably because of what I was just explaining with the print, with the store exclusives. There are more than what I have here. This is a few examples, but there's more than these three out there. If you want, there's a bit available, but you're still looking at 120 to 150 raw, unless you got that one down there that's looking for only $37 from the UK. So another 20 bucks in shipping. It's still 50 bucks. Ain't too bad. So you can see prices can be high, they can be low, they can be all over the place for some of these things. Yeah. Just because they're high ratio doesn't mean they're always expensive or always impossible to find. That's what we're doing. Like I said, I didn't know what the answers were before I started this research. I picked some books, then I went in and checked out each and every one of them. And then once I did all my research, then I kind of order them to a way that makes sense to me. But I don't know the answers going in. I don't know if we're going to have any ghost when I do this every week. We could have none. We can have one. We can have 10. No idea going into this. Granted, we know we got one so far, but let's see if we got any more. With that said, Action Comics 1051, David Nakayama giving us this foil version. Yes, this was also a heavily printed book, new direction, new story, store exclusives. There was like those Will Jacks, etc. So there's going to be plenty of these probably out there. But it is still a nice David Nakayama cover. There is a regular trade dress version, so you don't have to go and spend 100, 1 in 100 money to get this. If you like this cover, you can get the trade dress version, or limited trade dress version, I should say. But this is January 2023. This has only 28 in the census, which I would have expected a few more. I would have thought this was more in the 60s, but 2398s, 596s is what we're looking at. Only a pair of sales the last 3 months, but for a 1 in 100, 60 bucks and $105. It's not setting the market on fire as far as cost goes. And if you wanted one, you got your pick of the litter, because there's a bunch out there. Here's just 4 examples of some 9.8s looking for 300 to 360, a 9.6 wants 175, and a raw is looking for 125 for this 1 in 100. There are even some cheaper ones out there if you want to go in digging, but you pay for what you get. So with that said, this one's not going to make the cut, but we're not done yet. We still got a few more. Let's keep rolling on and see if any of these are going to fall into our ghost category this week. Static. Shadows of Dakota #1. So a brand new Static series started in February of 2023. So a little over a year ago. Olivier Copiel, if I'm saying his name properly. 1 in 100. I like this cover. This is a pretty cool cover. Foil, you would think, would lend itself nicely to Static. I haven't seen one of these in person, so I don't know how this one plays. But I think the color, the color palette here with the blues and the purples probably work well with what I've seen of the DC foils. So when they get on the brighter side, that the foil has like a matted, dullish kind of quality, that it doesn't work. But with the darker colors, I think it actually could work in its favor to make it look pretty nice. With that said, CGC census only has 22. Still not that big of a number, with 18 9.8s, 3 9.6s, and a 9.4. Nobody's bought one in the last 3 months, which is surprising. I would have thought there'd be at least one sale or something, but no sales for this Static book. I guess people are just kind of sitting and waiting on the Milestone universe and seeing if we get any more movement or anything coming up. But, if you wanted to buy one, you got 3 options. I found 3. So 9.8, 185 to 300 bucks, or 175 for one of those raws. So still ain't cheap. Still above ratio, however you look at it. Definitely, like I said, and looking at the picture, it doesn't look too bad, but still does like I said, have that kind of dull, muted kind of quality to the foil. Like even though you get the reflection from the shine, without that light source, it just kind of sits dark and dull, almost like it's absorbing the light like a black hole. I don't know, but I'm just not a huge foil guy. Again, I've made that very, very clear. But I can see why some people like them. Some of them do work. Some of them I do like. It's not that I got anything up completely against it. It's just I think it was overused, especially during this run that I'm looking at here. With that said, I got another book for you. Nubia, Coronation Special, #1. Josh Sway. So Swaby giving us this one in May of 2022. Like I said, it's a 1 in 100. Pretty cool cover. You don't get too many Nubia covers these days. Foil edition only has 9 in the census. 6 9/8 and 3 9/6. It's not too many. There's a restored? One of those 9/6 is restored? Wonder what they did. Heh. No idea. Anyway, nobody bought one. Last 3 months, I got no sales to report. So I do not know what the price could have been on what people were willing to pay for this. But I can tell you what people are asking. And I found more than 3 copies. There were a decent number of these out there. But again, store exclusives possible. I don't recall 100% if there were many, but there could have been a couple. Still expensive, though. Even with only a handful out there, more than the 3. Yes, you can find ones for like $90, but most of them are looking for like $150 to $250. So a lot of the asks are higher, but there is the occasional, under ratio at $90. But still, even under ratio at $90, $90 is still a lot of money for a single comic that is only a year old. Just for the fact that it's an incentive ratio. Just saying. That's why I don't like buying a lot of 1 in 100s. I like playing more in the 1 in 10s, 1 in 25s, because yes, they're more plentiful, but it's also at a price point that I can stomach a little bit easier. $90 is a lot of money still, even if you consider it at a discount from ratio. Now, that is what it is. But I believe I got 2 more books for you. Feels like a shorter show, but we are skipping an entire slide for every one of these books. We have no print run numbers to talk about, so we can get through this a little bit quicker. But I still got a dozen to cover, so we got 2 left. The 2 left that we have are, firstly, Nightwing #1 in 100. Not 1 in 100. Nightwing #100. This is, however, not a 1 in 100. This is a 1 in 150. George Perez design cover for Nightwing. You can see here, nice Perez designs. You see his classic disco outfit with the big collar. Classic. January 2023 on this book. Always like Nightwing. It's a good read. CGC census, 27. 27. Still not a big number. 29 8s, 5 9/6s, and a pair of 9 2s. Nobody sat on any of these. Also, nobody bought any of these. So I have no sales in the last 3 months to report on this one. And, well, if you wanted to buy it, I only found one for you. Only found one, and it's a 9/8, and it wants a healthy $630 out of the UK with another $60 shipping. So US buyers, it is going to cost you like $700. Just saying. It's a big number for this book, but it's the only one that's out there. So if you want to play in this game, that's your only ticket right now. Again, moment in time, snapshot in time. That's what you got. Interesting. One last book. We are looking at Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths #7. George Perez tribute cover. There is a non-foil version of this. This is a foil. This is a wraparound. It's a big kind of like mural, tribute to George Perez. They have a shiny foil version and here for the incentive, and there's a regular version. I was fine getting the regular version. Various cover artists worked on this. I believe there's like 4 of them. I can't remember all the names, but a couple of artists put this tribute montage thing together. It's a 1 in 350. What an odd number. 1 in 200, 250, 500, 1 in 350. Whatever reason, 1 in 350 from December of 2022. And it was the final issue of a big event. So there actually were copies. And I believe there was also some store exclusives. But even with the store exclusive, again, they're still not going to get a ton of these because it's 350 copies they'd have to order to get one. But There's enough for 26 in the census. Let's just put that out there. 23 9/8, 194, and 292s. Nobody, however, has purchased one of these bad boys in the last 3 months. And if you wanted to go shopping for one, well, I got you. My comic shop's got two for you, as a matter of fact. They got a 9/8 for $400 and a 9/4 for $260. And then somebody else has a 9/8 looking for $750. That's it. 3. So there's a trio of copies out there for this 1 and 350. And they're all pretty pricey. All pretty pricey when you look at it. But it's 1 in 350, so you shouldn't be surprised. With that all said, what do we got then? A bunch of foils. We don't know how many are printed. We just have a best guess at some of these are going to be tougher than others. So what do we got? What we have is these hard to finds. So I think there's 9 of these hard to finds, from the Poison Ivies to there and the Punchlines and the Action Comics of that George Perez 1 in 350. But that leaves us out of the 12 with 9 hard to finds, with 3 that we can call ghosts based off of our criteria, where there has to be only one or none available. And I believe there's one of the Jenny Frizzens, no copies of the Flash, and one of that Nightwing 1 in 150s available right now on the market. So at this moment in time, this snapshot in time, I feel comfortable calling these 3 are ghosts for the week. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for stopping by and checking this out. I appreciate all the support. I got a few more things to cover. I don't know if I'm going to go back to a Hidden Gems the next time out or do another Ghosts, but I have half of a working list of some leftover things that were not DC foil books. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we cover next week. But hopefully you're enjoying the ride, and hopefully you're enjoying all the content here. Again, make sure you check out all the links below. Think about joining up for memberships, get some of these videos early. Think about checking out Whatnot if you haven't before. Again, it's free money. Just sign up, give it a try, spend the free money, and never use it again. I don't care. That's your prerogative. Do it. Just take the free $15, spend it on something you like, and enjoy. And if you do, like I said, you'll not only be helping the channel, I also want to hear from you to know what you did buy. So hit me up with a DM on Instagram. And with that all said, I will see you all soon with some more content. All right? Later.